After analyzing the archives, I now have concrete proof of what I've been talking about since 2015. There was a goal of about 85,000 reais to create a day and night system. They took the money and bought an asset for $39. The game system is just an asset flip where the only thing created by them was the map. And was it fair that they invented crowdfunding goals that were later converted into the purchase of about $755 worth of ready-made assets? They still had $50,000 and 10 years to polish. The models in this game are exaggeratedly high poly, and of course, they lack LODs to optimize them at a distance. This scene would be the equivalent of 152 cars from Gran Turismo 7 rendered in LOD at the same time. This kind of thing seen from a programmer is unacceptable.
We do not understand why we have become the focus of a campaign that puts our merit as developers and creators in check, including charging us with serious crimes such as embezzlement and fraud.
Brazilian developer Beta Games Group has just released the alpha version of their 12-year-old project 171, which is meant to put Brazil on the gaming industry's map. The ambitions of this 7-member group are high, and they managed to release a decent alpha a few weeks ago. Originally, I was going to make a simple comparison video showing the differences between 171 and other games like GTA and Watch Dogs Legion, but after looking deeper into 171 and its development, I fell into a rabbit hole of drama, controversy, accusations, and Portuguese, a language I couldn't understand, nor could I spell. I'm not a game developer, so if I say something stupid or wrong, please call it out and I'll include corrections in the description. This video was difficult to create, as nearly everything had to be translated and I had to work with people from Brazil to learn the backstories of this complicated 12-year-long project. Not only that, but it's very much developer-oriented drama, so me, not being a developer, had to form my own understandings and opinions based on what could be explained to me by actual developers, by the people actually involved. This video is sponsored by Manscaped. Manscaped is trusted by more than 7 million men worldwide for providing premium tools and formulations like the Lawnmower 4.0 body hair trimmer and the Crop Preserver ball deodorant. As the leader in men's grooming, Manscaped is now going beyond the groin with the brand new Beard Hedger trimmer for your face, neck, and beard. The only thing worse than someone with a controller that has Dorito and Cheeto dust all over it is a guy with his mid-game snack stuck on his beard. The waterproof, cordless Beard Hedger makes quick work of even the thickest of beards with its powerful 7200 RPM motor. It features a 41mm titanium-coated T-blade for a comfortable, meticulous trim. With its built-in rotary zoom wheel, you can select your preferred hair length, allowing up to 20 different trimmer guard length options. With Manscaped, you save when you bundle, so check out the Beard Hedger Pro Kit, which includes all of these accessories. If you're looking to level up your grooming routine, go to manscaped.com today and get 20% off plus free international shipping when you use my promo code DARKSPACE at checkout. What is 171? 171 is a crowd-funded, Brazilian-made game that has been under development for the past 12 years. The game studio developing 171 is Beta Games Group, or BGG, based in Brazil. It's essentially a Grand Theft Auto clone, or aspires to be a GTA competitor. Many people have made comparison videos between 171 and GTA 5, which show the striking resemblance between the two games, even though 171 is still in alpha. So what's so special about this GTA clone? After all, GTA clones are a dime a dozen. 171 represents the Brazilian people, not just in the setting of the game, but also as a source of national pride. The developers strive to make this game the ultimate Brazilian experience, a world that lives and breathes their culture. Brazil has difficulty in the video game market. After speaking with someone familiar with the situation, I was told that while they do enjoy playing newer games made from first world countries, they themselves don't often see successful games originate from within their own country. The few 3D games that do succeed, like Ballistics Overkill, can fail to stay alive due to a lack of updates and server support. 171 stands out as a serious attempt to break the mold and compete with the rest of the world. The problem? The team is small. Roughly 7 developers have been working on this game for the last few years, and it's unclear to the exact developer count throughout its 12-year life. This small team is also inexperienced at making video games, and this massive project is their first attempt. 171 is not complete yet, but its developers have promised big things throughout its development. Brazilian gamers are proud of the alpha version of the game, so no doubt they're extremely excited to play the completed version when it becomes available. 171's alpha release on November 17, 2022 was a big milestone for BGG's 12-year development journey to get there. These development checkpoints are important to consider to understand what they needed the fundraisers for. In 2010, they had ideas that slowly began to take shape by 2011. Houses were built and the map began to form. 4 years later, the project was migrated to Unreal Engine, likely a major setback that would allow the game to stay modern and keep up with other games in the industry. In 2016, the team claims to have studied and adapted to work in the new engine. In 2017, the team had built the environment and developed new mechanics for the game, claiming to have optimized and interesting gameplay. Keep that in mind. By the end of 2018, they started their first fundraiser. 2 years later in 2020, they ran a second. In 2022, the alpha was released. If we rewind time 4 years, we find ourselves at the end of 2018, the beginning of their fundraising missions. The first fundraiser earned 58,133 Brazilian reais, or $12,906 US. For 11,000 US, they committed to delivering a city, character movement, clothing, 10 cars, 2 weapons, NPC interaction, car modding and destruction, and a police system. At this point, the game would have been in development for nearly 9 years, and based on footage released in 2015, the map had probably already been basically done. Character movement had already been shown, but it's unclear how in-depth it was. We later learned that they had just used locomotion to implement character movement, a pre-made Unreal Engine asset. The 2018 fundraiser couldn't break beyond this tier, but much of the controversy that we'll get into can be explained by looking at the proposed features in the second tier. For $5,100 US, they promised to add a day-night system, a black market for weapon purchases, interactive stores around the city, and 2 weapons. The day-night system they used ended up being another pre-made Unreal Engine asset, one that only costs $40. The question raised at this point is, considering the prices these tiers were valued at, of these 2 options, what were backers more likely being led to believe? That these features were being developed from scratch by a beta games group? Or that these features were actually just Unreal Engine assets, being purchased for a few dollars and getting plugged in? Consider that this tier was worth $5,100. If you take the money and divide it evenly into each feature, then each feature would receive $1,275. After buying the $40 asset, the beta games group would be left with $1,235 to plug this pre-made asset into their game. How much work goes into adding this specific pre-made asset? No idea, but it's very likely to be much less work than building it from scratch, which is obviously why they purchased it to begin with. The second fundraiser was launched 2 years later in 2020. This one earned 195,208 Brazilian reais, or $36,978 US. The redundant features added to the first tier of this fundraiser are the map, improved game mechanics, and police, more wanted levels. The first pledge already unlocked the map, so there was no reason to make it part of the goal a second time, right? It also already had the movement system locomotion, which includes climbing. However, this could be untrue if they potentially upgraded to locomotion after this campaign. The police system had already been unlocked 2 years prior as well, so in this campaign they claim it is to add higher wanted levels. These 2 campaigns total nearly $50,000 US. While this may seem like a lot of money, there are factors that are easy to overlook. The Brazilian Kickstarter site that they ran these campaigns through, Catarse, takes a 13% cut. They also had to pay taxes on the money earned, and on top of that, they had to deliver the rewards for the backers. In one interview, Beta Games Group claimed that they only saw half of the first campaign's earnings after deducting everything. Were these campaigns asking for too much money? In America, $50,000 is not enough money to live off of for 4 years. Now, considering the fact that the $50,000 had to support 7 developers and pay for any assets the game would need, I actually think that they should have asked for more money, at least if they lived in America. In Brazil, the living wage is much less than that of America. The minimum monthly wage in Brazil is 1,200 reais, or $226 US. In America, the minimum monthly wage is 1,200 US, or 8,500 reais. Even with all this, I don't think that they asked for too much money. In fact, if you consider their high ambitions and lack of experience, I think it will require much more if they want this project to succeed. Currently on Steam, 171 has been purchased at least 1,514 times, and that's only based on the people who left a review. This means 171 has brought in at least $45,420. They more than likely made much more than this, so you can ignore Steam's 30% cut from sales. After adding these estimates up, 171 has made roughly $100,000 US, or 500,000 Brazilian reais. Junior is the creator of MixMods, the biggest GTA website in Brazil, with over 1 million monthly visitors. When the GTA trilogy had its disastrous launch, MixMods pioneered game modding, being the first in the world to make essential mods the right way, including the rain, lighting, and fog distance fixes. In November of 2022, Junior created a post outlining BGG's use of assets in 171 and published it on his website. This sparked the controversy that rippled through MixMods and the community at large around this game. Meanwhile, us English-speaking people had no idea what was going on. But with the help of Google Translate and some Brazilian friends, and Junior himself, I was able to sift through the drama and get to the facts. Hopefully. Trip will be narrating Junior's words, and Badger Goodger will be narrating Beta Games Group.
With the release of 171, after analyzing the archives, I now have concrete proof of what I've been talking about since 2015. There was a goal of about 85,000 reais to create a day and night system. They took the money and bought an asset for $39, 200 reais, on the Unreal Marketplace. Ultra Dynamic Sky. There's even rain, but for some reason they purposely turned it off. We turned it back on. People are saying that I lied, saying that I said that they said it cost 85,000. When this is not what it says. It says there was a goal. Even if you disregard previous goals, this additional goal is still 27,000 reais, which includes an item that cost 200 reais. So I ask, is it honest that there is such a goal? They at least should have said that they were going to buy a ready-made system, because the goal implied that they were going to create the system from scratch, and therefore needed money to reach the goal. Explaining even more about the day and night cycle to make it clear, there was a target of 58,000. There was no day and night cycle there. But in the target of 85,000, there was an item. This implies that they needed 85,000 reais to create the day and night cycle, which even with the 58,000 they couldn't manage. However, the system only cost 200 reais.
In the most disputed section of the post, Junior is trying to say that BGG wanted $16,100 in order to purchase a $40 asset from the Unreal Engine marketplace, called Ultra Dynamic Sky. People were quick to call out the fact that this was in the second tier, meaning it should be isolated when considering the pricing, as in only $5,100 was being asked to unlock these extra features. It seems Junior is arguing that by placing this $40 asset into the second tier, it implies three things about the feature and BGG. Number one, BGG must think it's too difficult to accomplish along with the first tier's features, meaning it will cost much more than $11,000 to even consider implementing it. Number two, that BGG is knowingly being scummy with the placement, knowing that it's an easy, inexpensive fluff feature, only included in an alternate tier in order to make that tier seem more valuable than it really is. Number three, that BGG wants backers to believe that this feature is worth at least $1,275 because it needs to be created from scratch and implemented, that it's definitely not some average run-of-the-mill $40 pre-made asset. Junior goes on to expose the depth of BGG's asset usage. The car's handling is a $100 asset called F-Gear. The character and weapon control systems are free, advanced locomotion, free animations from Mixamo, dogs from Animalia, minimap from Journey Map, GPS from Roadmap Navigation, NPCs from World Director, impact effects from Ballistics FX, wind from Adaptive Binaural Wind. game menu from Izitna kit system, water from the branching river tool, wires and cables from the ultimate cable system, stairs from impromptu stairs, trees from tree creator, vegetation and textures from reedwood collection, blood from Yi blood droplets, and likely more.
Game codes have almost no content from them, and when they do, they suck. Almost all the file names are in English for several assets, including vegetation, props, textures, and several files in Portuguese were just renamed as well. Several characters and weapons have completely different English names and texture styles, indicating that they were not created by them either. The grenade, for example, is from another asset pack. This is almost the entire game and it costs less than 4,000 reais, and most likely they bought most of it on sale. There must be more that we haven't seen yet, as they have changed the names of several files. The game system is just an asset flip where the only thing created by them was the map, minus a good part of the vegetation and the textures, the cars, the weapons, not all of them, but most of them, some characters, and almost no script. You buy the pencil and paper to create the drawing, but you don't buy the drawing, and still invent goals in a dishonest way. I myself bought many assets for my games, but I never invented goals of thousands of reais to later buy a cheap and ready-made system and just stick it in my game in any sort of way and make it a buggy mess. If buying off-the-shelf systems was their initial idea, they should have made it transparent, because many of the people donated to them thinking that they would create these things instead of just buying them ready-made. After all, the goals they set were pretty high. Also, I just have to say, it's absurd to say this game is 100% Brazilian when 90% of the system is bought from gringos on the Unreal Marketplace. So I leave the question open. Is what they delivered worth it? At this level of content, polishing, and optimization, with 10 years of development and almost 50,000 US dollars of investment, and with almost all the base gameplay purchased already pre-made? And was it fair that they invented crowdfunding goals that were later converted into the purchase of about $755 worth of ready-made assets?
BGG responded to these accusations on their Facebook page.
The understanding that a game that uses outsourced services, whether coming from packages, middleware, or other services of the same nature, is something bad, harmful, or that would be a demerit in some way for the health of a game, regardless of the form or quantity, shows the lack of knowledge about the game development market.
In other words, if you think using pre-made assets during game development isn't as good as assets, scripts, and systems being made from scratch, you lack knowledge about the game development world. They're also trying to disassociate themselves from the quantity of assets being used, to bring the argument to a more general, fundamental one, where using assets is acceptable, but context matters. The quantity of pre-made assets does matter. Everything depends on the game, but in this case, there was a large amount of pre-made assets being flipped. But this is fine, and honestly, probably a necessity for a game like this, as their vision and aspirations are bigger than their abilities and staff. It's fine as long as there was transparency and the backers were aware. Backers were likely expecting a game made from scratch. To scold your backers for their lack of knowledge on game development is a bit idiotic.
If you take all the packages that were cited in the indictment and try to create a new open-world game, it would not even be possible to have 20% of what 171 is today.
If you remove only 2 packages, you no longer have vehicles that drive or a character that walks.
Furthermore, it is important to point out that the use of third-party packs, plugins, or content does not only involve the insertion of material in the game. There is a development process applied in the implementation of these contents, where, depending on the material to be inserted, it is necessary to modify, test, adapt, optimize, and polish the content so that it is as natural as possible and part of the game universe. This process demands valuable development time and, consequently, remuneration for the responsible professional to carry out the implementation. After all, the pack does not carry out automatic integrations. This type of accusation does not only affect our studio, but all developers in general, as developers need to be paid to perform their function.
No one is suggesting you shouldn't be paid for your work. No one is suggesting that asset integration doesn't require work. While it is work, it's not exactly the type of work your backers were hoping to see you perform. They were likely looking to see you build your game from scratch. and generally speaking, the work required to implement an asset should be much smaller than the work required to build one from scratch. After all, that's likely why you purchased the item in the first place. That, or a lack of experience and knowledge, prevented you from designing some of these systems yourself.
Weeks later, the site continues to receive DDoS attacks. They've even tried to make me lose my job. I continue to be attacked by lies they invented about me.
The type of accusation that was directed at us, in addition to being misrepresented, harms the game development market as a whole, and not just we.
And because of this, I'm going to have to spend the rest of my life dealing with more lies.
We do not understand why we have become the focus of a campaign that puts our merit as developers and creators in check, including charging us with serious crimes such as embezzlement and fraud.